The morning sun rose slowly over the small village where a young woman named Mira lived. She woke early each day to care for her small garden which she had grown with patience and love. The garden was the only place where she felt peace because her life had been full of struggle since childhood. Her mother had passed when she was young, and her father worked far away in another town. Mira had learned to live with silence and responsibility. She carried strength inside her even when she felt alone. One warm morning Mira stepped into her garden with a small basket in her hand. She planned to pick vegetables for her breakfast, but something caught her eye near the corner of the yard. The soil looked uneven in a place where she had never planted anything. She walked closer and saw small ants moving in a line. Their tiny bodies shimmered as they hurried in and out of a small hole in the ground. Mira smiled because she liked simple creatures. She thought it was just an ant nest, nothing special. She bent down, touched the ground, and felt the soil softer than usual. At first she ignored it. She picked vegetables, washed them, and made her morning tea. But while she sat near her window she kept glancing at that patch of dirt. Something about it bothered her. She felt as if the ants were moving in a strange pattern, not like usual. She tried to brush away the thought, but it stayed in her mind. After finishing her tea she went back outside to take a closer look. Mira knelt beside the nest again. The ants were moving faster now. She noticed that one area of the soil looked slightly raised, like something underneath was pushing the earth upward. She felt a gentle tremor under her fingers, almost like a heartbeat. Her breath caught for a moment. She looked around, but there was no one to ask for help. She could not understand what she felt. She pressed her hand again, and the same soft pulse came from the ground. Fear mixed with curiosity inside her. She grabbed a small garden tool and gently dug around the nest, trying not to harm the ants. The soil broke apart, easily revealing darker earth below. She felt another soft vibration under the surface. She stopped digging and sat back, trying to make sense of it. She had never felt anything like this. Her heart began to beat faster and her thoughts raced. She wondered if something alive was trapped underneath. The idea frightened her, but she could not walk away. She felt a strange emotional pull, as if something was calling out for help. The sun rose higher and her garden warmed with light, but Mira felt chilled. She rubbed her arms and tried to steady her breath. She remembered a story her mother once told her about hidden things beneath the earth, and how life sometimes gives signs when something important is waiting to be found. Those words echoed in her mind and made her feel both scared and hopeful. She reached for her tool again and continued to dig more slowly and carefully. As she removed layers of soil, the ants moved aside, gathering around the edges as if they understood her intention. Mira felt an odd connection with them. They did not act disturbed. They seemed to work with her. Their calmness gave her strength to keep going. After several minutes, she uncovered a small flat stone. It looked smooth and old. She brushed it with her fingers and found strange lines carved into it. The lines were not random. They looked like markings made by human hands long ago. Her heart thumped harder. She had never seen anything like this. She lifted the stone slightly, but it was heavier than she expected. When she tapped the corner of it, the same soft tremor moved through the earth again. She realized the vibration did not come from the soil, but from under the stone itself. This discovery made her feel light-headed. She sat back, breathing deeply, trying to calm the storm inside her mind. Mira was a simple village girl. She had never imagined finding anything unusual in her small garden. She lived a quiet life where days passed in routine. But now she felt her life was changing. She sensed that this discovery might hold meaning far beyond her understanding. She did not know what to do next. She was afraid to lift the stone completely in case something dangerous or precious lay beneath. But she also could not cover it back and pretend she had seen nothing. After thinking for a while, she decided to visit her old friend Rafi, who worked at a small community center in the village. Rafi was gentle and thoughtful. He had studied natural sciences in college, but had returned to the village to care for his sick mother. Mira trusted him because he never laughed at her questions and always treated her with respect. She wrapped the stone in a cloth and carried it to the center where he worked. Rafi was sweeping the front steps when she arrived. He looked up surprised to see her carrying something close to her chest. She told him about the nest, the strange tremor, and the carved markings. Rafi listened carefully, his expression growing serious as she spoke. When she unwrapped the stone and showed it to him, he knelt down and gently touched the carvings. He said he had never seen anything like it in the village. He told her it might be very old and could belong to an ancient culture that once lived in the region. Mira felt her stomach tighten with worry. She did not want trouble. She only wanted to understand what was under her garden. Rafi told her not to panic. He said they needed someone with more knowledge to examine the stone and the site. He suggested contacting a small group of scientists who had recently visited nearby villages to study old farming tools and underground structures. They were kind people who respected local villagers and did not cause problems. Mira agreed because she had no other option. Rafi made a call and explained everything to one of the scientists. The scientist named Dr. Arun sounded very interested and asked to visit the site as soon as possible. Mira felt nervous, but she nodded. Rafi tried to comfort her by saying she had done the right thing. He said sometimes life chooses ordinary people to uncover forgotten truths. His calm voice eased her fear a little, but her heart still felt heavy. The scientists arrived early the next morning. Mira stood quietly near her house while Rafi welcomed them. They examined the stone with great care. Dr. Arun looked at Mira with gentle eyes and asked if she could show them the exact spot where she found it. Mira led them to her garden and pointed at the small hole she had dug. The ants were still moving around peacefully. The scientists exchanged thoughtful glances and began to set up their tools. As they worked, Mira watched them with a mix of hope and fear. She felt exposed, as if something private in her life was being opened for the world to see. She had always been a quiet person who avoided attention. Now strangers were in her garden studying a secret she had never asked to uncover. She folded her hands tightly and tried to breathe slowly. The scientists removed part of the soil she had dug and found the remaining section of the stone still covering something below. They spoke softly among themselves. Mira could not understand their technical words, but she could see the excitement in their eyes. Dr. Arun asked her if she had felt any vibration before touching the stone. She nodded and explained everything again. He looked stunned but not doubtful. He told her that sometimes underground chambers can create natural pressure shifts or sound waves that feel like small vibrations, but he had never heard of something this strong from such shallow ground. They carefully lifted the stone together, revealing a dark space underneath. It was larger than Mira expected. At first she thought it was just a hole, but as her eyes adjusted she saw shaped edges like the entrance to a small chamber. A cool air rose from below, carrying a faint scent of something old and untouched for many years. Mira felt goosebumps on her arms. The air felt filled with memory and emotion, as if it carried stories waiting to be heard again. One of the scientists lowered a small light into the chamber. The beam touched the walls, revealing smooth surfaces with more carvings. The carvings looked almost like drawings of people holding hands, circles of families standing together, and symbols of unity. They looked peaceful and full of meaning. Mira felt tears gather in her eyes without knowing why. Something about the drawings touched her deeply. She felt as if these unknown people from long ago were speaking to her heart. The scientists looked amazed. Rafi stood beside her, silent and respectful. Dr. Arun told her that this chamber might be part of a forgotten cultural site created by people who valued peace and community. He said the ant nest and the soft tremor might have been nature trying to reveal this place at the right time. Mira felt overwhelmed. She had never expected any of this. She had thought it was only an ant nest, nothing more. Yet now her simple garden had become a doorway to a hidden story of human connection. As the scientists continued their work, Mira stood quietly watching with a full heart. She felt a strange closeness to the old drawings inside the chamber. For the first time in many years she felt less alone. She felt tied to something bigger than her small daily life. She did not understand everything, but she sensed that this discovery would change her path forever. She looked at the small ants moving near her feet. They had led her to this moment. They had guided her to uncover a forgotten place filled with meaning. She felt gratitude toward them. She touched the ground gently and whispered a soft thank you in her heart. The discovery had only begun, but Mira already felt her life shifting in a way she could never have imagined. The quiet village woke slowly as the sun climbed over the rooftops, but Mira had been awake long before dawn. Sleep had not come easily. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the hidden chamber under her garden, the peaceful drawings on the walls, the strange tremor she had felt the day before. Her heart carried a soft weight as if the discovery had touched something deep inside her. She stepped outside and breathed the cool morning air, trying to steady her thoughts. The scientists returned soon after sunrise. They carried more equipment than the day before and greeted Mira with warm smiles. Even though she was nervous, Mira welcomed them politely. She still found it strange that her small garden had become a place of research and interest. Rafi arrived shortly after, bringing warm tea for everyone. His calm presence helped Mira feel less overwhelmed. Dr. Arun explained that they wanted to explore the chamber more carefully. They would try to lower a camera inside and create a map of the space without disturbing anything. Mira nodded quietly, although she felt nervous again. She felt a personal connection to the chamber, even though she did not know who created it or why. It felt like a message waiting for her to understand. She stood aside and watched as the scientists set up their tools. The ants continued to move peacefully around the edges of the opening. Everyone noticed how calm they remained. One of the scientists remarked that it was unusual for ants to act so undisturbed when their nest had been opened. Mira watched the tiny creatures with gentle eyes. She felt that they had led her to this place for a reason. Their presence comforted her. A small camera was lowered into the chamber. The screen displayed the inner walls layer by layer. More drawings appeared as the camera moved around. Some showed groups of people sitting together around a fire. Others showed hands reaching toward each other in support. A few symbols were repeated across the walls as if they held important meaning. Mira felt a soft ache in her chest as she looked at them. She wondered what stories these people had lived, what joys and sorrows they had carried, and why their chamber had been hidden for so long. When the camera moved deeper into the chamber, something unexpected appeared on the screen. A small object lay in the center of the chamber, covered in dust. It was shaped like a wooden box, but the surface looked carved with the same symbols as the walls. The scientists grew silent as they examined the image. Dr. Arun looked at Mira with a thoughtful expression. He asked if she would allow them to carefully open the chamber enough for one person to enter. Mira hesitated, but eventually nodded. She trusted them and she felt drawn to uncover more. As they prepared to widen the entrance, Mira stepped back and watched. Her hands felt cold and she rubbed them together. She remembered her mother again. Her mother used to tell her that the world hides secrets in gentle ways and only people with open hearts can feel their call. Mira wondered if her mother would have been proud of her today. The memory brought a warm sadness to her eyes. The scientists slowly removed loose earth from the edges until the opening was large enough for one person to enter. They set a soft light inside the chamber to illuminate the space. Dr. Arun volunteered to go in first. He lowered himself carefully through the opening, and Mira watched with her heart pounding. She felt emotional without knowing exactly why. The chamber felt sacred, peaceful, and full of human meaning. It felt like something her soul had been waiting to see. When Dr. Arun reached the floor, he walked slowly around the space, studying the drawings up close. He called out to the team, describing the carvings with awe in his voice. Then he turned toward the small wooden box at the center. He bent down, examined it, and brushed away the dust. The box looked old but still strong. The carvings on it matched the images on the walls perfectly. He lifted it gently and held it up toward the light so the rest of the team could see. Mira felt a sudden wave of emotion wash over her. Something about the box felt familiar, even though she had never seen anything like it. She felt as if the box carried a story that belonged not only to the past but also to her somehow. She stepped closer to the opening and looked down at Dr. Arun as he prepared to open it. The box opened with a soft sound. Inside, wrapped in delicate cloth, lay a small collection of items. There were simple tools made of smooth stone, tiny figures carved from wood, and finally a stack of thin sheets made from dried plant fibers. These sheets were covered in drawings similar to those on the walls. But the drawings on the sheets told a story in sequence, like a silent message passed through time. Dr. Arun carefully brought the items out of the chamber one by one. The scientists examined the sheets with great care while Mira stood nearby waiting anxiously. After several minutes, Dr. Arun looked at her with deep respect. He said the drawings appeared to tell the story of a small community that lived long ago. This community had faced a great hardship that threatened their peace. But instead of fighting, they had chosen unity and compassion. They had created this chamber to protect their memories of love and togetherness in hopes that someday someone with a kind heart would find it and share their message with the world. Mira listened with her breath caught in her throat. She felt tears rise in her eyes. She did not know these people, yet their story touched the deepest part of her heart. She had always lived alone, carrying burdens quietly and hoping for comfort she never received. Hearing about a community that valued love and unity felt like finding missing pieces of herself. The scientists continued studying the sheets. One drawing showed a woman standing alone in a garden while light shone over her. Another drawing showed ants crawling across the soil as if guiding her to something important. The scientists were puzzled by this image, but Mira felt a chill run down her spine. She felt the drawing spoke directly to her. She wondered if this place had been waiting for her for many years without her knowing it. As the day passed, more villagers gathered around Myra's house because word of the discovery had spread. People came quietly, curious but respectful. They stood behind a rope set up by the scientists to keep the area safe. Many whispered with amazement. Some bowed their heads when they saw the drawings from the chamber. A few older villagers said they had heard stories from their grandparents about a peaceful community that lived in the region centuries ago, but no one had believed the tales. Mira felt overwhelmed, but also touched by how gently the villagers reacted. She had always kept to herself and never felt like she belonged. But now she saw faces looking at her with warmth and appreciation. She felt shy, but her heart softened. She realized that this discovery was not only about the past. It was touching the present as well, and it was bringing people together in a way she had never seen before. Later in the afternoon, Dr. Arun asked Mira if she remembered exactly what she felt the first time she touched the stone. She explained the soft tremor again. He said it might have come from a natural shift in the chamber, but he believed it could also be something more. He said sometimes human emotion responds to places connected to old memories, even memories not our own. Mira did not fully understand, but she nodded quietly. As they continued studying the items, Mira sat near the garden quietly. The ants continued moving around peacefully. She watched them with a gentle smile. They had been the first sign. They had been the silent guides leading her toward a forgotten story. She felt grateful for their presence and the small but powerful way they had changed her life. Rafi came to sit beside her. He asked how she felt. Mira tried to speak, but her emotions tangled inside her. Instead, she looked at him with soft eyes. He understood, even without words. He told her that life gives certain people the chance to heal through unexpected paths. He said she had carried pain for a long time, and perhaps this discovery was a way for her to feel connected again to people and to hope. Mira looked down at her hands. She felt something warm inside her chest. She felt seen. She felt valued. For the first time since her mother passed, she felt surrounded by care, even if it was only through gentle actions and kind words. The chamber had not only held the memories of the past. It was now helping her understand her own heart. The scientists announced that they wanted to clean the carvings more carefully the next day, and possibly create a full record of the chamber. They asked Mira if she would allow the research to continue. Mira agreed. She felt responsible for the chamber now. It was part of her life and she wanted to protect it. As evening approached, the scientists packed their tools and the villagers slowly returned to their homes. Rafi remained with Mira to help her clean the garden and cover the chamber safely for the night. The air grew cooler and the sky turned shades of pink and gold. Mira looked at the horizon and felt a quiet peace inside her. She felt like her mother was near her in spirit, watching over her, guiding her through this strange and beautiful journey. When the garden was finally quiet, Mira sat on the ground near the ant nest. She touched the soil gently. She whispered a soft thank you in her heart again. She looked at the wooden box resting near the chamber and felt a deep connection to the people who created it long ago. Their message of unity and compassion had survived through time, waiting for someone who needed it. That someone had been her. Mira wiped her eyes and stood up slowly. She felt stronger than she had felt in years. She felt ready to understand, more ready to let this discovery shape her life in ways she could not yet imagine. She looked at the sky one more time, then walked back to her house with a full heart. What she did not know was that the true meaning of the chamber was still hidden, and the greatest emotional truth was yet to come. The next morning arrived with a soft golden light that stretched across the village. Birds sang gently, as if welcoming a new beginning. Mira stood by her window holding a warm cup of tea between her hands. Her heart felt calm yet full of questions. The discovery beneath her garden had touched her life in ways she did not expect. She felt connected to the past and to the people around her. She felt something awakening inside her that she had not felt in many years. When she stepped outside, the garden looked peaceful. The soil around the chamber was still covered with protective sheets placed by the scientists the night before. Mira walked slowly toward it and touched the ground lightly. The ants moved in gentle circles as if greeting her. The scene filled her with quiet warmth. Soon the scientists arrived with more tools. Dr. Arun greeted Mira with a respectful smile. He told her that today they planned to study the carvings more closely and try to understand the message behind the drawings inside the chamber. Mira nodded quietly. She felt nervous but also curious. She wanted to know what truth the chamber had been holding for so many years. The villagers also gathered around again but stayed behind the rope as instructed. Everyone watched with quiet anticipation. Rafi arrived carrying breakfast for the team and gave Mira a warm smile that made her feel grounded. His presence always softened the world around her. The scientists removed the covering and prepared to enter the chamber once more. This time they invited Mira to stand closer so she could see the drawings on the sheets more clearly. Mira hesitated at first, but then stepped forward. Her heart beat slowly and heavily as she walked toward the ancient space. Dr. Arun spread out the plant fiber sheets on a soft cloth. Mira sat near them. Each sheet told a part of the story of the old community. But as Mira looked carefully, she began noticing something the scientists had not explained yet. One drawing on the sheet showed a young woman with long simple hair standing alone in a field. Around her were small ants forming a line toward a stone. Light surrounded the woman in the drawing. Mira felt a quiet shiver move through her body. Another sheet showed a structure shaped like the chamber under her garden. Inside it stood the same woman holding her heart with both hands. Around her were drawings of families and peaceful people. Their hands reached out toward her, offering comfort. Mira stared at the image silently. She felt a soft ache inside her chest, as if the drawing was reflecting something she had carried all her life. She pointed at the sheet with trembling fingers. Dr. Arun leaned forward and examined the drawing more closely. He said the drawing might symbolize a person who found the chamber during a time of emotional struggle. The community had created the chamber not only to preserve their story but also to comfort the soul of a future person, someone who needed healing and connection. Mira looked up at him slowly. Her eyes glistened. She felt the truth settle in her heart. She whispered that she had always felt alone since her mother passed. She had carried her pain quietly without asking for help. She told him how the tremor she felt before discovering the chamber reminded her of a heartbeat. It was gentle, like someone trying to call her towards something meaningful. The scientists listened with full attention. Rafi stepped closer, his heart heavy with empathy. He had always known Mira carried a quiet sadness, but he never knew how deep it went. Seeing her speak with such vulnerability made him feel protective of her. Dr. Arun studied Mira's expression and spoke softly. He said many ancient communities believed in emotional energy and believed that places of peace could call to the hearts that needed healing. He said the chamber might have been designed not only to preserve history but also to reach someone who lived far in the future, someone who shared the same emotional needs as the people who built it. Mira felt tears forming in her eyes, but she did not wipe them. She wanted to understand more. She asked why the drawings seemed to resemble her even though she did not know the creators. The scientists explained that the drawings were symbolic. They were not predictions of a specific person. But the message behind them was meant for anyone who felt alone, anyone who needed a reminder of unity, compassion, and emotional connection. Mira listened quietly, her heart feeling both heavy and light. She remembered her childhood again, how she would sit under the small tree near her home, wishing for someone to talk to, wishing her mother could return and hold her. She remembered the nights when she cried alone, unable to share her thoughts with anyone. The chamber and its drawings felt like an answer to a silent call she had made to the world many years ago. The scientists continued studying the carvings inside the chamber. Mira stood at the entrance watching them. Her heart grew calmer with each passing moment. She felt as if the people who created the chamber long ago were reaching out to her, offering comfort, love, and understanding through their art and symbols. She felt less alone. While the scientists worked, Rafi walked to her side. He asked her softly if she felt all right. Mira nodded, but her voice broke slightly when she answered. She told him she felt something changing inside her. She felt as if the chamber had shown her that she never truly walked alone, even during her hardest years. She felt that love can survive across time even if people are gone. Rafi listened with deep compassion. He placed his hand near hers without touching, letting her know he stood with her. His gentle presence helped her breathe more easily. Mira realized she had people around her now, people who cared even if she had not noticed it before. The scientists called Mira again to look at another discovery. Inside the chamber, near one of the corners, they found a small clay tablet with carvings of a family holding hands in a circle. Beneath them was a single symbol shaped like a heart resting inside two open palms. They believed this symbol meant shared love or shared strength. Mira stared at it for a long time. She felt the image touch the deepest part of her heart. Dr. Arun explained that the chamber might have been created after the old community suffered a loss. These drawings might represent their wish to keep love alive even when people were no longer physically present. Mira felt her breath tremble. She thought of her mother again. She remembered the soft smile her mother had and the gentle way she held Mira when she was young. She felt her mother's love around her even now, like a warm, invisible presence. The scientists prepared to record the entire chamber using a special scanner. As they worked, the chamber filled with light and soft shadows. Mira watched as ancient art met modern technology, blending the past and present together. The sight filled her with wonder. She realized she had become part of a story much larger than her own life. During the scanning process, something unexpected happened. A faint vibration moved through the ground again. Mira felt it under her feet and gasped softly. She placed her hand on the soil. The tremor felt familiar, gentle, and rhythmic. The scientists paused. They tried to find a scientific explanation, but the vibration faded before they could locate its source. Mira closed her eyes for a moment and listened to her heart. She felt as if the vibration was a reminder from the old community, a final message asking her to carry their story forward and to share their compassion with others. She felt a warm tear slide down her cheek, but she did not feel sad. She felt grateful. By afternoon, the scientists completed their scans and carefully covered the chamber once more. They planned to create a detailed record to preserve the findings for future generations. They told Mira that her garden was now one of the most meaningful places they had studied. Not because of fame or rarity, but because of the emotional depth carried within the chamber. They thanked her for her courage and kindness. Villagers approached Mira with gentle smiles as they prepared to leave. Some thanked her for caring about the discovery. Others said the drawings reminded them to value their families and neighbors more deeply. Mira felt her heart swell with emotion. She had never been the center of anything before, but now she felt surrounded by warmth and gratitude. When the scientists left and the villagers returned to their homes, Mira sat quietly near the ant nest again. The ants moved peacefully, creating small paths in the soil. She watched them with soft eyes. She felt they had been messengers guiding her toward understanding and healing. She whispered a quiet thank you again in her heart. Rafi stayed behind and sat beside her. The sky began turning shades of orange as the sun prepared to set. He looked at Mira and told her that the discovery had changed not only her life but the whole village. He said people felt closer and kinder because of the chamber and its story. Mira looked at him with gentle eyes. She felt grateful for his friendship and the support he had given her. She shared something she had never told anyone. She said she used to feel like she did not belong anywhere. She felt invisible most days. But now she felt connected to people, to history, and to herself. She felt her mother's presence again through the drawings and symbols of love. She felt as if the past had reached out to comfort her future. Rafi listened deeply. He told her she had always belonged, she just needed a moment that reminded her of her own worth. He said she carried a heart that understood compassion, which is why she was the one who found the chamber. His words touched her, and she felt peace settle inside her chest. As the last light of the day fell over the garden, Mira made a quiet promise in her heart. She would protect the chamber and share its message with anyone who wished to learn. She would honor the people who created it by carrying forward their belief in unity, compassion, and emotional connection. She felt this was her purpose now, a path given to her not by chance but by meaning. The night settled softly. Mira and Rafi stood together for a moment, watching the stars appear one by one. The world felt calm. The past and present felt connected. Mira felt whole again. The chamber beneath her garden had not only revealed an ancient story. It had helped her rediscover herself and reminded her that even a simple heart can hold great strength and love. And with that, Mira stepped into the future feeling seen, valued, and no longer alone.